I understand that it's hard, but
Mm.
if you make it your priority, you will make it. Every single session I had, I learned something new, and now I can do things that I couldn't do
う
before.
ん。
はい、ステファンです。ステファンと呼んでください。
あ、はじめまして。
はじめまして。フランス人です。パリで生まれ育ちました。今日は私のストーリーについて話したいです。趣味はサッカーでサッカーをずっとやっていました。サッカーの、ベリションアカデミーの、ベリションアカデミーここにいて、11歳から18歳までこのアカデミーに住んでいました。
サッカー？
はい、サッカー。
サッカー好きなんですね。
はい、テレマさん好き？
私サッカー見るの好き。見るだけ。
このアカデミーはシャトルにあって、シャトルはフランスの中央にある小さな町です。そして時々パリの家族の家に帰りました。18歳から20歳まで、同じクラブでサッカーをして、サッカーの味の、契約は20歳の時でした。
すごい。
はい、フランスで4年間のサッカー選手でしたけども、用語や、言語を学んだり、新しい友達に会いたいのでやめました。
そうなんだ。
そしてアメリカの大学にいて、4年間、勉強していたときに、妻と出会えて、サッカーのコーチ、サッカーのコーチとして働きました。
アメリカでサッカーのコーチ？すごい。
はい。1年間だけ。
アメリカのどこですか？
ケンタッキーです。
ケンタッキー？
はい。ケンタッキー知ってますか？
ケンタッキー知ってるけど行ったことないです。
はい。そしてその後、日本に引っ越しして、今は7ヶ月間住んでいます。仕事忙しいので、勉強する時間がないですけども、毎日時間を見つけて、日本語を学んでいます。
すごい。
1年後、日本語を流暢に話したいと思っています。
すごいですね。7ヶ月でペラペラじゃないですか。すごい。はい。
はい、実際、フランス語と、スペイン語と、英語を話せます。そして日本語は私の4番目の言語です。
すごい。
はい、じゃあ皆さんも一緒に日本語を頑張って勉強しましょう。よろしくお願いします。
よろしくお願いします。すごいですね、ステファンさん。上手。発音もすごいいいですね。
Yeah, my impression of him is like he just arrived in Japan last year. Yeah, and then when he spoke Japanese, it's like he was thinking about the grammar structure and grammar as well, and his speaking speed was slow to speak Japanese, but his pronunciation was good. He is like keen to train every day, especially like on train, and he had a time. He tried to find the time to speak out and say it out the phrase what we create, and also he tried to use the sentences that we create in the lesson immediately as much as possible. And also in his daily life, he tried to speak as much as possible to Japanese people. And yeah, he gained the confidence to speak Japanese. I would say I feel like that he also enjoy speaking Japanese without thinking about the grammar. That reason why he improved a lot. Like he was not afraid of making mistake.
So he was already very confident, and then he didn't really struggle with reading sentences because his pronunciation was really good. So I focused on speaking speed mainly because he was able to read, but I saw a lot of pauses in between the words and the sentences. So I encouraged him to speak like a native with a native speed. I gave him a lot of praise, of course, because he always very motivated and he does a great job. He memorized sentences, long sentences all the time. So I told him that you're doing amazing and you sound like a native. You know, you're getting really close to be like a native. So I think those positive words were very motivating for him.
The being able to speak fluently is the fun part, but it's when the people cannot speak and the same phrases over and over or to memorize it's not super fun part, right? So how did you manage it?
Yeah, so the fact that the teachers always make you speak, actually, so you see, the mouth is it's a muscle, right? So the more you use it, the more it grows. 奥さんはベベちゃん、ベベちゃんベベちゃん呼んでいます。雨見て、なせで、今日雨がめっちゃ雨。1年後日本語を流暢に話したいです。
お元気ですか？
疲れた。
お疲れ様です。お仕事？
今日在宅でした。
First of all, Stephan-san, can you tell me about current actually situation, like where you're living and how long have you been living in Japan and where you're from and what did you do in France and what are you doing now?
So from the beginning, well, I was, like I said in Japanese, I was in France. I was playing soccer, soccer in Japanese, in English or Japanese. I was playing soccer and then I stopped because, well, I was at a time of my life where I was thinking a lot about my future and also what I wanted to do after soccer. And so I made that decision to stop and I wanted to learn languages. I wanted to travel and meet people and do different things than staying in France. I wasn't very, I wouldn't say happy. I had everything I needed, but it was just, I wanted to see something else, you know, I was bored. So,
From since young age, you wanted to leave the country and to travel more.
Oh, very young age, I wanted to play football. I wanted to play soccer, and I did it. But it's more like my 20s, so I started to think about more like traveling, and because I used to watch movies and see like people. I've been listening to music, see people how they speak, you know, in different language. So I was just interested and it got my attention, right? So I wanted to do the same. I wanted to experience something else. Right? So I started to learn English when I stopped the year I stopped soccer. I started to learn English. That was the first time I learned English. Well, I used to learn in school, but you know, when we learn in school, it's not that effective. You know, the teachers has to speak, so I knew the basics. You know. So I started to learn English seriously, take this kind of course like the one with Japan Factory, Language Factory. So learn English, and then I found an opportunity to go to the US to study, but also to play soccer at the same time. So I got a scholarship to go there. So that's how I went to America to study and learn English. Learn English, get a degree. So I stayed there for 4.5 years, 4 years. But then I stayed more year because I stayed 2 more years because of that's when the pandemic started, right? Yeah, the pandemic started. Then I coached soccer in the university where I went, right? So then I met my girlfriend at that time. She was going to the same school, so we met there. And then she had to come back to Japan because she had to graduate from school. She was just an exchange student there in America. Yes, so yeah, I met my wife. Then the pandemic started, and we had to stay in America. In the school, because the borders were closed, and she couldn't come back, and I couldn't go back to France. And we were good together, so we wanted to stay together anyway, and we were living together. So. Then she came to Japan when things were a little better. Not better, but she could, because the Japanese government opened the borders for Japanese citizens to come back, right? So she came back and she started to work. And we talked about this before she came. For me, it was the best way to still be together, right? Was to come to Japan. So I started to prepare myself and to come. I started to learn Japanese a little bit, like hiragana toka, and katakana, a little bit of kanji, some grammar stuff, and but nothing that helped me to speak. So I was able to know, katakana, hiragana, katakana, I can write like perfectly. Some kanjis as well, I can write perfectly. I could write perfectly, but I couldn't speak very well, or at least whatever I was saying, I wouldn't understand what it was.
Yeah.
I was just saying, and for me, it made sense at that time, but I didn't know exactly what it was. So for 3 months, I took this tutoring course where I had a private teacher, and he was just teaching me grammar stuff, So I did that.
Okay. So you had, before this master course, you did this tutoring, then you learned grammar.
Yeah. For 3 months. It wasn't very. So I stopped after that. After the 3 months, I stopped, and then I came to Japan the year after. So for 8 to 10 months, I didn't learn any Japanese. So just like I still knew the grammar because I still remember it, but couldn't speak. So I came to Japan around last year, August. Actually, I came in August last year. That's when I started to. Well, I didn't actually learn. I was just like, because of the noise around and the people speaking around, the language came in my brain, and I was surrounded by the language, right? So, and then I found out this the Japanese language factory, and it reminded me actually the way I learned English before, and that's actually how got my interest. And I decided to say, okay, let's go for it, because it's if I can speak Japanese the way I speak English, that I'd be really, even though I don't speak that good English, and I'll be super happy. So
you were football player, and you already know the training is very important to be better. And I always say to the people on YouTube or everywhere that it's okay, you can learn the rule of soccer from the book, like what is a soccer, I can watch the football soccer, and I can read the book, what is a rule, like but it's playing soccer is very different. Of course, I cannot be a player if I'm watching TV. So the same things like you learn Japanese from the book or maybe YouTube or something, hiragana, katakana, and learning grammar, but it's your mouth doesn't move. You cannot speak faster. So that's actually you did this training with us, this speaking training. So can you tell me the experience of this speaking training? When you started to now, it's huge differences for sure. But can you tell me, because you have really good pronunciation, now you have a speaking speed good. So can you share with me like what you really did at the training?
Yeah, so at first I started very basics introduction. It was just really, really basics. Well, my personality is like I like to rush things, so I was so excited to like do more, instead of, I didn't want to do just introduction. I wanted to do more, right? Because I was so excited to speak like as quick as possible. I had to like a little patient as lessons were going on. Every single session I had, I learned something new and I can read that in real life. So yeah, that's how it went. At first, I wouldn't say I wasn't confident, because for me it's not that I'm ashamed of speaking the language. I just do it, right? So but it's more like the lack of knowledge, the lack of expressions in the language that got me stuck at the beginning. So but I learned from the beginning. I learned very basic stuff, and then I was learning every single sessions. And so now I think I know a lot now, which is good. Still need to learn, but the thing is, like, whatever you're learning, it's good because you can use that in real life, right? It makes you more knowledgeable, and it makes you feel like you're part of Japan. You can do things in Japan without help from anyone. So I think this is one of the most important about this masterclass.
And then during the master course, we always say like do the training, like speaking training, which is a repeat of same phrases to actually get used to speak and then to memorize much faster. And then of course training itself is not so fun. The being able to speak fluently is the fun part, but it's when the people cannot speak and the same phrases over and over, or to memorize, it's not super fun part, right? So how did you manage it?
So the fact that the teachers always make you speak, actually, so you see, the mouth is it's a muscle, right? So the more you use it, the more it grows. So it's the
That's
same
true.
thing. It's just a basic stuff that you need to implement, in your daily life. For me, because I live with Japanese, it's not that hard to get to practice Japanese, even though sometimes it's wrong. You just say it. I just say it, and when they speak, I listen and I understand. Whatever I don't understand, I can say, "Oh, I don't understand what you're saying. Like, can you repeat, or just say it a little slowly so I can, And it's just a matter of habits. I think you have to get used to the language. It can be quite hard if you're not in contact with the language, but I'm sure there's solution for that. I was in France when I learned English, right? So I went to the US and I was speaking English like not like a native, but I knew a lot of English when I went to the US, right? So it's Japanese. I think it's my experience at least was very smooth. Sometimes a little frustrating, of course, because when it's a little hard, there's nothing you can do, right? But at least it was majority of the time it was pretty smooth.
Great. And then I don't know how many you have friends, foreign friends, like a French maybe friends, or maybe other international friends, and then quite common is they're already living more than 5 years or maybe 10 years, and they have Japanese wife or Japanese family, or maybe Japanese, they're working in a Japanese company. But some people say like they still can't speak Japanese. Maybe they have been to language school, or they are learning with a Duolingo. But what do you think? Like you just living 7 months, 8 months right now?
Yeah. So
right. What do you think?
This is my 8th month now. Yeah, this is my
8 months. What do you think? Like, what is the main problem? Like people who live in Japan many years and they still can't, maybe shy to speak, or the mindset is maybe too difficult to learn. That's why like maybe the negative feeling when they need to feel like I need to learn, because it seems like very difficult. What do you think? What they are thinking, or what do you think is the problem, and why you learn so fast?
Yeah, I think it depends on the situation of everyone, personal situation. There's people, that they work here in Japan, but their work requires to speak English all the time. So it's hard. In my case, well, my job requires me to speak English all day long, right? But it's more like it's because I'm here and I want to learn. And when, for example, I go somewhere with my wife, I want to be able to order my own food, right? So, so I think it depends on every people's situation, like personal situation, and also definitely mindsets and personality. I'm not a shy person, so it's not. I always want to experiment and experience things. So there's people they're a little shy, which is it's normal, but you have to overcome this if you want to learn the language and be able to speak and do things on your own, right?
Okay, thank you so much. And then what is the biggest differences before the master course and after master course? What is the differences for you, like a feeling or confidence or something? Difference?
Like I said, I wasn't not confident about Japanese in general, but definitely with a little bit my confidence, because I can do things that I couldn't do before, right? An example would be, go to the gym. I mean, the gym is a little difficult because you have to fill up papers, But for example, my wife was there when we did my subscription at the gym, my membership. But I was able to understand what they were saying to me, and I was doing on my own. She spoke a little bit, but not that much, So I know for some people it would be like the whole thing. The whole process, they'll be quiet and let the other person, the Japanese person, do the whole process for them, right? But for me, it was a little, because I'm a Japanese now, I can do things that I couldn't do before.
That's amazing.
That's the biggest difference. I think, actually I can do pretty much, not everything, but a lot of things.
Wow, that's amazing. It's just 8 months. Just you're living 8 months and you feel like I can do almost everything. That's, I think, amazing feeling. Yeah, and it's so fast. Yeah. I'm so happy. So in the end, that would be the last question. Last request. So many actually foreigner try think like go back to United States or go back to France. I think it's majority is learning Japanese is maybe crazy idea. Learning Japanese is too difficult. And then I think even the foreigner visit Japan, it's still really difficult to really seriously learn, because the majority is difficult language. And that you manage it and you say like, I can do most of things, a lot of things. Can you tell the message to them like you can do this too,
Yeah, sure.
From your experience.
Well, I understand that it's hard, but if you make it your priority, you will make it. That's my message.
True.
Yeah. If you have, I don't know, 20 to 30 minutes a day, that you instead of like scrolling down in your social medias, I don't know. Yeah, you can probably learn a few sentences in Japanese that's gonna help you do whatever you want. Just learn, I don't know, learn 2 sentences a day. For example, for every situation. I remember when I came, I used to, I didn't learn that, but so I used to go to Kombini because I love onigiri. so every time I go to Kombini by myself, I mean the first time not by myself, but the few times after, they always tell me a sentence. Not necessarily for onigiri, but they always ask me ohuro, you know, if I want ohuro, and I said that should be this, you know, or when I buy a bento in Kombini and they say, atatame mashouka, you know, those stuff, you know. So learn that, learn those sentences, and you will see that actually it's easy.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's hard, I understand, but make it your priority. Just learn a few things per day, and you'll see that after 30 days you'll be better than the first day. Much better.
Yeah.
So if you want to change your life with a Japanese speaking skill, seriously, join our master course, 2 months. So you can be ready to communicate with Japanese people after 2 months. So for example, you can maybe make Japanese friends, you can enter the Japanese company, you can try more conversation with Japanese people every day. So that's why your speaking skill grow up every day. So these 2 months, we're gonna make a perfect the foundation of your Japanese speaking skill. Then you can start speaking with Japanese people, real life or social media, on Instagram, on Facebook, or anywhere that you can actually have the chance to speak. So if you really want to change your life, seriously, use Japanese communication skill, speech skill, presentation skill, for the business, for the private. Let's join the master course.